Where is Bryce Young between average, good to great?
Well, they talk about Bryce Young's, cognition and his cognitive ability, and they say he's off the charts. And the only knock on Bryce Young is his size. Well, my biggest concern about his size is that we've now had more than a decade of small quarterbacks making a name for themselves in the NFL, as compared to the prototypical stand-in-the-pocket, big-bodied quarterbacks of the 90s and the early 2000s. Well, that also means that linebackers have had time to get faster, linemen have had time to get faster, and now that escapability it's still a great thing, but you have linebackers that can run you down. You have linemen that are fast enough to run you down in certain situations. And if you don't have a big enough body to be able to absorb that kind of contact, that makes you a liability long term. You might have 1, 2, 3 great seasons because you just have this freak athletic ability, but eventually all of those injuries are going to pile up and you don't stay in the league for very long as a quarterback. We want stars at quarterback to have 15-year careers. That's what we expect of them, right? And if they don't, people say, oh, the guy was kind of a bust. Well, maybe he just got hurt a lot and it took him out of the league. His body couldn't hold up. He regressed towards the average of 3 to 4 years is the average career in the NFL. Quarterbacks are regressing towards that average because they're just not big enough to absorb that kind of contact, and they're getting outside of the pocket, so they're opening themselves up to more of that contact.
If I said to you guys, what you have is a 5'10" quarterback with average arm strength, you would probably say, that's who Carolina's taking number one. Now, he's got a lot of really, really good traits, and some of those we're going to get to in a moment. He's 5'10" with average arm strength. Here's the height of every Super Bowl winning quarterback since 2012. Patrick Mahomes was 6'2". Matt Stafford 6'3". Tom Brady 6'4". Mahomes again 6'2". Tom Brady 6'4". Nick Foles 6'6". Peyton Manning 6'5". Tom Brady 6'4". Joe Flacco 6'6". Russell Wilson 5'11". What did Russell Wilson have? The Legion of Doom defense.
Legion of Boom.
Legion of Boom defense. You're right. Legion of Boom defense. And what he had, amazingly, Bryce Young has not had a lot of passes batted at the line. He's had fewer passes batted at the line than Justin Herbert, who's much bigger. But the facts are what they are. So, look, you're asking me, Mark, when you were single, Mark Ryan, what were your red flags? Red flags were,
not having a great butt.
Having a sense of self-awareness, dressing appropriately for the occasion. Are you engaging, right? Like, do you have a kind heart? Those are questions that you'd ask, right? Like, to me, a track record of cheating, abuse, or drugs, those were all red flags that I wouldn't pass go. I don't collect $200. Those were what they were for me. In the NFL circles, you've got height as the red flag for Bryce Young. And now I'm going to tell you definitively why CJ Stroud is falling faster than Megan Fox did for Machine Gun Kelly. All right? Going to tell you conclusively how and why that is the case. The S2 is the brand new cognitive test that the NFL is giving. They have replaced the Wonderlic with the S2 cognitive test. And this measures processing speed. Diesel, what's the name of a computer processor that's fast? And what's the name of a computer processor
Intel.
That's slow? So Intel is fast.
Yeah.
What's one that's slow?
Oh, God. If they were slow, then we wouldn't know about them, would we?
Ones
not
you've
on the
had
market.
in the past, right?
Yeah.
So this is the S2 cognitive test apparently processes speed, like processing speed, how quickly a quarterback processes a field, and he has to react and press buttons and do things. It's almost like a video game screen, what they're doing, and they're scored on a percentile, right? So if you score in the 80th percentile, it means that your score is better than 80% of people who has taken the test. So here you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is kind of unbelievable. You look at these scores. Bryce Young, 98th percentile. Will Levis, 93rd percentile. The goal is 80, okay? Anthony Richardson, 79th percentile. Kind of right there, right? Hendon Hooker, Tennessee, 46th percentile.
Ooh.
CJ Stroud, 18th percentile. 18th percentile. Folks, this is from an NFL executive, and this is part of Go Long, the blog that Bob McGunn, a former NFL scout, is writing. We had on their founder, Tyler Dunn, on the CBS show on Saturday, and I asked him about this. Here's what and Bob McGinn talks to a bunch of different NFL scouts and executives here. The executive said Stroud scored an 18. That's like red alert. You can't take a guy like that. That is why I have Stroud as a bust. That in conjunction with the fact, name one Ohio State quarterback that's ever done it in the league. That's what an NFL executive said, ladies and gentlemen. And then you start going through the Ohio State quarterbacks, and I don't really believe in that, guys. Like, hey, what's an Alabama quarterback ever done? Or Florida quarterback? Or remember, we used to get that about Duke basketball, and then Jason Tatum's one of the best players in the league. I don't believe in doing that because regimes change, coaches change. It's not the same system for 50 years, you know? But Justin Fields, how's he going to be in the NFL? Mike Tomczak might be the second best. Dwayne Haskins was a bust. Art Schlichter in 1982, a bust. So those are the problems, right? Those are the problems. And another executive said, if you get a high score as a quarterback, it's not a surefire thing that you're going to be a great player. But if you get a low score, it's been 100%. None of the quarterbacks that have gotten a low score have become a good player. I don't understand why we're allowed to know what the athletic measurements are, and like it's considered taboo to know what the cognitive tests are.
I think we're going to make fun of players for not doing well on the cognitive portions of their tests. I mean, they were elite athletes in college. Like there are many different kinds of intelligence. There are people who are really great at whatever task it is, but they don't test well when they're in high school testing situations. That happens. So, I mean, everybody's got their own skill set.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the question is for you, which is a bigger red flag, right? Which is a bigger red flag? One AFC evaluator says the following of this year's quarterback class. Remember, Diesel, we had Russell Brown on, NFL draft analyst, and we said if Trevor Lawrence was a 10 as a prospect, what's the best of these guys? He said 6.5. An AFC evaluator. This quarterback class is the most overhyped and understandably so group that I can recall. Every one of them is flawed, and some with major flaws. So I think they all get overdrafted, and unfortunately, they all underperform. Even if they become starters, they're bottom half of the league starters. God, what are you like?
You know, my only guess what the Carolina Panthers are doing is they feel like they have to take a quarterback at this point because they didn't get who they wanted to in trades, but they still don't have everything they need to be a complete football team next year. So in all likelihood, the Carolina Panthers are going to be drafting relatively high again next year in what is supposed to be a very deep quarterback draft. So could we see Carolina go quarterback 2 years in a row? I mean, again, what else shows you that they don't know what they're doing than going QB 2 years in a row with potentially top 10 draft picks 2 years in a row? But we very well may find ourselves in that situation. And the Carolina Panthers may say, well, all right, we'll keep both of them on the roster till they're done with their rookie deals. And then we can make a decision and move on from the one that's not performing.